Welcome to Storyteller, a profile series highlighting the dreams, journeys, and achievements of our students, alumni, and supporters, presented by Doyon Foundation.
Thank you, everyone. Today we're talking with student Geoffrey Bacon. He is a Doyon shareholder from Fairbanks, Alaska, and he attends the University of California, Berkeley School of Law. Geoffrey, can you please tell me a little bit about your educational journey?
Certainly. First, just gracious thank you to the Dwyane Foundation for all of the support that you've provided me over the years in my various degree programs. Right now, I'm a second-year law student at the University of California, Berkeley School of Law. Prior to that, I had worked in human resources after earning a bachelor's in that field, as well as a master's. And most recently, had been working as a human resource business partner for the Alaska Native Health Consortium, Alaska Native Tribal Health Consortium. After, another halfway there, so another year and a half, I will earn my law degree and plan to return to Alaska and practice law there. My goal is to land a clerkship position, which are where you work closely with a judge, helping them write legal opinions, doing legal research, learning the law on the ground. And after that, working for a law firm that represents tribes and tribal organizations. I have the privilege of this summer going to work for Schutt Chambers in their Anchorage office, which does represent tribes and tribal organizations such as ANTHC.
That's so awesome. What influenced you to choose this field of study?
Ever since I was little, I had thought about the law. And my grandmother said, it'd be good to have a lawyer in the family. And so that had been percolating in the back of my head for many, many years. And I enjoy solving problems. And that's what drew me initially to work in human resources, because you do research and you apply employment law and things like that. And in that time, I got to work with some really great and smart attorneys, several of which are at ANTHC. And it dawned on me that I could do that too. And so I decided to apply, and this last year and a half have been really, really invigorating for me. I feel like I found my calling, and it just seems like the right fit for me.
Thank you. What do you hope to accomplish with your education?
Well, the biggest thing is earning the degree as well as passing the bar to practice law. And so once I do that, then the nice thing about a law degree is it's very flexible. You can practice law, you can teach, you can do a lot of different things with it, and not necessarily being a practicing attorney. But for me right now, I do want to practice law. And I think applying my legal education to help tribes and tribal organizations is the place that I feel strongest about going. That was the same when I was in human resources. I found working for ANTHC some of my most fulfilling moments of being a practicing HR professional. And so I just see the law as an extension of that.
What is the biggest challenge you faced during your educational journey?
There are several. Unless you go to school in Alaska, being away from family is really hard. With the COVID pandemic, my first year of law school was entirely online. So while the stresses of the pandemic were always present, there was a silver lining in being able to attend classes remotely at home with my wife and our dog, who both been so supportive during this journey. But this last semester, I did go in person, and it's just hard being away in a very, very large city. I used to think Anchorage was big, but it feels tiny compared to the Bay Area, where there's millions of people with no patience.
Oh yeah. How did you overcome this?
Well, fortunately, we have FaceTime and Zoom, and the ability I can talk to my family and my wife every day, and being able to have that same closeness that I would be if I was there. I mean, obviously you can't hug your family when you're thousands of miles away, but sharing of feelings and just how hard school is, and just the reaffirmation that you're there for a reason. You have all these people behind you, is incredibly motivating.
Yeah, learning definitely is easier when it's in a classroom and not online. What was the hardest part about learning online for you instead of in person?
Oh, other than making sure I logged into the right class at the right time, and just those technical issues, it was different because of the remoteness. When you're sitting in a classroom and you're hearing the lecture or the topic and you're completely puzzled, you feel sort of like you're the only one going through that, when the reality is that your classmates are equally as puzzled because the law is new to them too. Nobody's a practicing attorney starting in their first year of law school. So the nice thing about being in person is that you can see the quizzical looks of your classmates that you can't get in a Zoom or a remote online format. And the other thing you can do is bombard office hours and ask the questions. Somebody told me a long time ago, your tuition cost is paying for those faculty to be responsive and answer your questions, and you have just as much a right to ask them for help with any other student. Your voice is just as important, and probably more important, because like it or not, there are very few law students from Alaska at any given school, just because we're so few in number, much less Alaska Native law students. And that comes up a lot in the classroom when I took a course on corporate law last semester, and the professor's talking about this novel new corporation type where it's a public benefit corporation that has the profit motive as well as like a social well-being, and it's like brand new, and we weren't sure how it's going to work out. And I'm sitting there thinking, Doyan's been doing this for almost 50 years, balancing profit and long-term social mission, like caring for our people, is nothing new to us. And so in that sense, Dwyane Limited and like our region and as well as the entire state's been leading some of these brand new things. And it's just so these type of observations that other people from Alaska don't have our history, wouldn't understand until you share that.
I agree. Thank you for sharing that. That's definitely going to be helpful for the other students, just because we do have a lot of students still that are fully online. Instead of the classroom, what are your activities that are involved outside of class?
Well, there's a lot of reading, so that and just being, I'm, making sure that like I'm there for my wife just as she is for me. Those are very important, and those are doing well and reaffirming why I'm there are the two most important things, and those ground me. Beyond just the fun kind of things that you get to do while a law student, I'm the treasurer for the Native American Law Students Association chapter at our school. And so that means I get to ask the school for money to go do cool things. The hard thing is when it's remote, but learning how to just ask for things like getting financial support to go to conferences or pay for resources. Like we were trying to host an outdoor social when we went in person this last fall, and ice cream. We were into ice cream, and ice cream melts. So I asked money to buy a cooler for the group, and we got approved. So it can be those small things that just like make life a little bit easier or a little more fun. So having those moments are really, really positive. And we also have brought in some really great speakers. For example, there is a nonprofit group called Protect Native Elders who were on the ground during the pandemic raging in 2020 on the Navajo Nation, and helping get protective equipment and resources to help keep people safe when like the federal government was still getting their act together. So hearing those kind of stories and sharing those with my classmates is it's really motivating, and it helps them understand where I'm coming from as well as my other Native peers.
Wow, that's so awesome. What role does culture play into your life?
It grounds me. That knowing who I am, where I come from, helps me know that I know what I'm doing. This goal of going to law school to get this education is worth it in the end. It's worth giving up, the nights at home with my family, or the sanity of not having to cram for a test that's the next day. I my grandmother, who grew up in Callens, she left to go to the boarding school in Eklutna at a very young age, and she was pushed to go by her grandmother, and that just that knowing that she had the same types of feelings and stresses and uncertainty, and this is, well, probably more so because that was, in the 30s, way before any kind of communication. So, being 20 miles away from somebody meant being 1,000 miles away from somebody, and having those same types of, like, I'm doing this to help myself and to help others sense is very powerful. And when I started law school, I was trying to find the Danaka word for lawyer, and I looked in I have the smaller version of the dictionary, and I couldn't find it. And but I found the word for storyteller, which I apologize for the mispronunciation, but it was naholnik. And I thought that fit really nicely, because at the end of the day, a lawyer is just somebody who takes what they see and presents a story and convinces someone that that's what should be. And that's what I hope to do as a lawyer after I complete law school.
Thank you for including that, because our series is called Storyteller.
I know, I saw that and I was like, this is just so perfect.
Yes, it worked out perfectly. What kind of support have you received from Dwyane Foundation, and how has it helped you as a student?
Well, I've received financial support in the form of scholarships for my undergraduate and my previous graduate degree, as well as my current law school education. But in addition, I feel like the most personally meaningful support was when I got a scholarship to go take a class up at UAF to learn from a Danaka speaker. And that helped me learn how to introduce myself in Danaka. And at the next annual board meeting for Doyon, I actually introduced myself because I wanted to encourage the board to continue to support being a sponsor of the Doyon Foundation. And that I believe this was even before the language program was really a core piece of the foundation's mission as it is today. And so it felt so, the words won't capture it, but just sort of like feeling like I was just in one with everything. And I was so nervous and trepidation in my voice. And I was worried it was going to come through the microphone when I was talking to the board. But then I finished and I thanked them. I walked away and an elder said, "You pronounced those really well." and I was like, I was just so humbled, because it was like I knew how to say who I was in the way that, like, my grandmother would say it when she didn't want my mom to hear what she was saying. And it felt so wonderful. And I'm forever grateful for the foundation for helping make that happen.
That was a great story. Thank you. Do you have any words of encouragement for your fellow students?
2 words: self-care. You can push yourself, and there are times when you want to do that. But if you push yourself too hard, you will end up running yourself into the ground. My first year of law school was very stressful, because you don't know what you need to know, and especially remote, you don't have the ability to, like, just walk down the hall and ask, or just ask your roommate, like, hey, was you as stressed about this as I was? And so you internalize a lot of that stress. And if you don't have an outlet, whether that's getting outside and walking or swimming or even just like blaring some music and like dancing in the kitchen, which I'm not going to confirm or deny that I do on occasion. You just need that outlet because it's super stressful. And if you don't, your body will let you know that something's not right. Like I ended up getting sick my first semester just from the stress, and I know it was stress because like it's just not the normal cold that you might get in the wintertime or those things that your body just normally happens because it's cold and dark in Alaska. So listening to your body and knowing what you need and prioritizing that, because nobody else is going to prioritize your health like you need. And I don't have kids right now, but I have a lot of classmates who do, and I am beyond amazed how they can prioritize and plan out childcare and studying and making sure that they don't they have their self ready to go. And so I know it's possible. It's incredibly difficult. But if you don't take care of yourself, you can't sustain that long-term push that you need for a long-term, like a 3-year degree program like law school.
Yeah, self-care is the most important thing. So thank you for mentioning that. Is there anything else you'd like to share today?
Oh gosh, I just want to reiterate just how thankful I am to the foundation for this opportunity to share a little bit about myself, but also just the continued support that you all have shown, and just the kindness that you and the other staff at the foundation have shown to me and my family. And I am there's no way I can repay that. But I certainly want to give back once I'm done with my studies and help make that a priority. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing your story. It's going to be super important for our students, especially those who are pursuing a law degree.
Yeah, and go to law school. We need more Native attorneys.
For more Storyteller profiles, visit doyonfoundation.com/storyteller.